The dispute between China and the US is getting sharper and making Xi Jinping even more inclined towards Russia. However, this is not a reason for Russia to be happy, because Russia's dependence on China is far greater than vice versa. On the sidelines of the ongoing National People's Congress in Beijing, Chinese leader Xi Jinping strongly criticized the US, which he said wanted to oppress his country. He spoke of a siege and vowed to his party and people to face the unprecedented challenge with all their might. China must have the courage to go to war, said Xi Jinping. This threat has often come from Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Russian president also called the invasion of Ukraine a war against NATO, the US, and the Western collective. Of course, Putin is happy to have the support of his counterpart in Beijing, but Russia and China are unequal partners with different interests. Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping are roughly the same age, 70 and 69 years. According to the media, they have met almost 40 times in the last 10 years. Over the years, the two have crushed political opponents and ruled unchallenged. Neither did Putin and Xi make any secret of their tendency to reject a democratic order based on the principles of the rule of law and freedom of expression. However, there is a big difference between the two countries. By gross domestic product, China is the second largest economy in the world after the US and a successful exporting nation. Meanwhile, the Russian economy is about 10 times smaller. Several decades ago, the situation was still different, when the Soviet Union was a superpower and China was still a second-class developing country. However, in contrast to China, Russia failed to make any meaningful modernization. Putin's attack on Ukraine was also not calculated carefully, so that politically, militarily, and economically, this moved through Russia a dozen years back. What's more, Russia's invasion of Ukraine only further united the West and NATO, contrary to Putin's prediction that there would be division and confusion. As countries in NATO and the European Union begin to shake off their dependence on Russian gas, oil, or coal, Russia will have to find new markets in Asia and will have to offer prices much lower than what Europe used to pay. China's situation is much different, because China is lucky to be able to get large quantities of Russian oil and gas at low prices. Russia's greater dependence on China will also make Beijing's position in the international arena stronger and more respected. China is not dependent on Russia and still has options to improve its relationship with the US to reach a compromise. After the corona pandemic and Xi Jinping's zero-COVID strategy weakened China's growth in 2022. After ending this situation and China's economy slowly stabilizing, Xi Jinping is unlikely to be interested in getting involved in a prolonged trade war with the US and with Europe. Especially in Europe, a critical view of trade relations and too much dependence on China has begun to appear. Europe is learning from its dependence on Russia and the high price it will have to pay to break away from that dependence. Xi Jinping is shrewd enough not to publicly embarrass Russia, instead treating it as a close partner. Economic analysts predict that living standards in Russia will continue to fall in the coming years, also because hundreds of thousands of Russian technologists and professionals have left the country. Putin risks economic downturn for the sake of his political ambitions. However, Xi Jinping actually has big economic ambitions. The ultimate goal is to overtake the United States and become the world's largest economy. A new study by the German Institute for International Security Issues (SOVP) in Berlin sheds light on Xi Jinping's visit to the United States in 2012, when he spoke of a new type of great power relationship in the 21st century. America and China, said Xi Jinping, must be an equal force. He didn't mention Russia at all. For China, Russia is now the most important strategic partner, because Russia and China have the same position to oppose Western hegemony. Beyond that, Russia is not an important actor in the international arena, because China sees itself as the only competing superpower. The U.S. SWP study cites Chinese political scientist Yan Sutang's opinion on China's position. According to him, Russia will become an important actor for China only if the U.S. supports Taiwan's declaration of independence. If not, China will seek a new relationship with the U.S. as an equal partner.